All right, so Bobby Green, Grant Dawson, Tim. Interesting card. I know you said you think it's a sneaky good one. Not so sure myself, but we'll see. Maybe I'll change my pitch after this little breakdown.
Yeah. Well, first I want you to ask me how I've been since we last talked. What am I drinking?
I don't wanna because I know what you're gonna
Well,
say. I know exactly what you're gonna
okay.
say. I'm drinking the coffee
Okay.
beans you had to send me because Rafael Fiziev's knee decided to break.
Yeah. Well, that's the fight game.
That is the fight game. It was gonna be a good fight too. It was gonna be good. How
All
are the
right. So you
beans, by
want
the
to?
way?
Huh?
How are the beans, by the way?
They're actually very good. I'm very pleasantly surprised. You sent me some good ones. The Copper Moon,
Yeah,
delicious.
you thought I was gonna have a shitty coffee taste. I got that.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna go to like Ocean State Job Lot and get like uh, the jack beans that were roasted 20 years ago.
To be fair, you should have gotten Folgers from the way that Gamrot won, but I was a good sport about it.
Hey, you gotta be. You gotta be.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. So, what's the first fight on this card? Montana De La Rosa and JJ
Yep.
Aldrich. Interesting. It's a
Yeah,
pick'em.
yeah, it's a pick 'em. But to me, I think you're gonna have to lean more towards the Montana De La Rosa side, at least for me. But this is gonna be a hard stop for me anyway. I'm done betting on these cards where or fights where I mean they're so close. I got smoked on the last card where the one girl was almost 50 years old fighting a 22-year-old, and the 22-year-old
Yo.
the breaks for. But this one, if I was to lean towards a pick 'em, I'd go Montana De La Rosa just for the simple fact that her last two losses are against Macy Barber and Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana subbed her. Um, that's okay. And then before that, she had a win over Ariane Lipsky, and then a draw with Myra Bueno Silva, which is we know how she's doing right now. And then before that, she had a loss to Viviane Arroyo. But her those two losses that to me, the Macy Barber and the Tatiana Suarez are good losses. And then with JJ is a dog. I mean that in the best way possible. She just finished Na Liang, which we were pleasantly surprised. I didn't think she was going to get a finish. I thought she was going to win by decision, and she shocked us all.
Yeah, she did.
And before that, she had a loss to Arian Lipsky, which, if we do MMA math, which works sometimes, Montana De La Rosa has a win over. So that's why I'm liking her a little bit more. And her other loss was to Aaron Blanchfield. Guillotine choke, standing guillotine choke, which was nasty, but that's also Aaron Blanchfield. So I mean, I'm not a big JJ fan. I thought she would win last fight. She did, but I think Montana, even though her record isn't currently the best, I think she's fighting a little bit. Besides the Aaron Blanchfield and the Jillian Robertson, I think Montana's fighting a little bit tougher competition, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna lean the same way. I think Montana is just a better grappler than JJ Aldrich, and also she's just a little bit more tenacious with her fighting than JJ Aldrich, in my opinion. JJ, I've bet on her in the past. I felt like she, rightful favorite in some, and then she was overvalued in some of her fights. But this one, I do think she does deserve to be at least even, or maybe even a little bit of an underdog. I'll go with Montana. She'll be in like those 12 leg parlays where it's the entire card sort of a deal. But outside of that, I'm completely not touching this with a 10-foot pole because this just screams, volatility. It screams close decision. It screams 29-28 split decision. So fuck that. I will keep my money for more fights later on. So Montana's the pick, but I don't have any sort of confidence in it.
Yeah, I mean it should be somewhat decent. I would like to see Montana get back on the winning side. She really needs it. Her back's against the wall on this one.
Yeah, for sure. This next one of the best nicknames on the card for sure. The Mongolian Murderer. That's fucking dope, Tim. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he's something else.
I think he's probably gonna win this fight. If I had to chime in, I don't think I don't think I'll have any money on this one either. It'll be just like Montana De La Rosa, but I think Ori Lang, just a little bit more technical of a striker, and I think that'll probably do him well. He can keep distance and just kind of plot away. His last loss was to Zahabi, and then before that, he beat Jay Perrin, beat Cameron Else, lost to Cody Durden, and lost to Jeff Molina. And I mean, those are decent losses. Molina, Durden, and then if you guys know Zahabi, you know Zahabi. So I mean, I think he's got a decent little track record here, and I'll go him by decision, close decision again. It screams 29-28 sort of a deal. So I'm not touching it again, but I'll pick Ori Kilang.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with him too. I just think, well, here's the thing. This is also a late replacement, right?
Yep, I think
So
so.
he's coming
Yeah,
in. Yeah, he's coming in. I forget who Munoz was supposed to fight originally, but
Montel Jackson.
Montel Jackson. So, but here's the thing: the Mongolian murderer. He's got tons of experience. They're pretty much the same age. I think that experience and coming in fresh, and kind of throwing it all at the wall here. I think you should be able to get it done. I don't think Munoz is. I don't know. It's when you're training for somebody and then they bring in a completely different person, it can kind of mess with you. Um, and we've seen that the last couple guys, at least some of the fights that stand out, mostly was the fight where Jack Maddalena. Remember they brought that Basser guy or Bassell,
Yep.
um, and it was a big problem. That just off the top of my head, how these fights can go. I'm not touching this one either, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Mongolian murderer take it here, man.
Me too. I'm kind of a fan, to be honest. I watched his win over Jay Perrin, and then I didn't watch the Zahabi fight because it was so quick. But I watched the Jay Perrin fight and I watched the Cody Durden fight, and I like the guy. I think he's a pretty decent fighter. He's fought some. Cody Durden's not nobody these days. He's got a couple wins put together, so I think he's gonna come in and do pretty well, and it's pretty close on the line right now. So, I think that's probably about right. I think both those fights, those first two fights, are pretty close fights. Could go either way. This next one, though, we have a -300 favorite in Kanako Murata from Japan, taking on Vanessa Demopoulos +240. Tim, any strong leans?
Um, yeah, I'm gonna be on the Kanako Murata side here, just for the simple fact that her last fight against Jinjan Droba, right? That's who she lost to. That was a doctor stoppage to an shoulder injury.
Yep.
Jandroba. Um, Other than that, her record, she's been on a tear. She's got the win over Randa Marcos. She's got a win over Emily Ducote. What's that in Invicta?
Um,
Um, Invicta. What is?
I think that is. Yeah, I think that is.
And then she's got some nice wins over in Ryzen. I just think, see, this is what's going to get me in trouble. I'm going to go with the younger fighter with the better record. Um, I just don't think Vanessa Demopoulos is going to be able to do it. She's 35. She's coming off of a loss to Karolina Kolakiewicz, which I think she's washed, to be honest with you, but she's stringing them together. But before that, I mean, she's got a couple decent wins. but nothing really that stands out for me.
Yeah.
I think is just this is just kind of one of those fights where they're just kind of putting the contracts together and getting people their fights. It's the end of the year. We got some big pay-per-views coming up. Some of these fights aren't going to be the best, but I mean,
What do you think is the best fight on the
this
card?
the best fight on the card is probably going to be. I like the Drew Dober fight.
That's a
Um,
good fight.
I
I
love
like the Bill
Lynn's fight,
Algeo fight.
The Algeo fight, the Algeo fight's gonna be good. The Joe Pyfer fight's gonna be good. Bobby Green's gonna be good. That's what I'm saying. So there are gonna be good fights. Nate Maness, right? So we're getting
Yep.
there. Uh, Diana Belbita, oh baby. So we're getting there. So it's kind of just getting these ones out of the way. Um, and unfortunately, I like the Montana De La Rosa fight. I like the Mongolian murderer. This one right here is kind of the only one in the, I hate to say it, but the Karolina Kowalkiewicz and the Diana Belbita fight is probably going to be, not that great. So it's really only these two fights, unfortunately, that I don't think are gonna really pop for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see this being just a slow grinder, but here's my deal with this fight. I am done betting women's MMA if they're minus 250 or more, unless it's something like Marina Rodriguez, where we'd already seen the fight. She's clearly a better fighter. We thought she was going to beat the shit out of her. She went out there, beat the shit out of her. Unless it's something along those lines, then I might think about, but I'm done betting any women fighter more than minus 250. I'll bet, those dominant ones like I just said, but if it's these early career fighters like Murata where we haven't seen her fight 5 times in the UFC, that sort of a thing, and she's
Yeah.
minus 300 and she's actually minus 340 on DraftKings right now, I'm just going to stay away. And I'll pick Demopoulos just from the standpoint of fading those huge favorites. And Demopoulos has UFC caliber wins, so I mean, but it's going to be nothing that I'm going to run home about and throw more than $0 on. I will have zero on Demopoulos, but she's going to be the pick just because the price next to her name and the fact that women's MMA is usually so closely. I guess it's competitive. There's always these close decisions between massive underdogs and massive favorites and that sort of a thing. So Demopoulos for me, I guess. But again, it's not anything that I'm like super happy about or wanting to put any single dollar bill on at all.
No, I'm right there. I'm right there with you, to be honest.
This will be a fun fight though. This next one, Nate Maness,
This
and I don't know how to say that name. You can go for it, Tim.
give me one. Mateus Mendonca.
Mateus
Mendoka?
Mendonca. Does the little thing on the bottom of the C like make it Mendonça? Mendon. I'm not sure.
Um, man, I'm Irish. We don't have stuff like that, so I'm just
We'll
gonna
call it
try my best.
Mateus.
Yeah, Mateus. This one is gonna be a good one, and I think the line is a little bit skewed here. With Mateus being the minus 270 favorite according to Tapology.
Yeah.
Granted, he came out was on the Contender Series, right? Came out fresh, got a nice finish, and then he comes to the UFC. His first fight, he loses to Basharat, um, which is fine. It's is this the younger or the older brother of the Basharat? I think this is.
Javid, I think, is the younger one.
Well, regardless, one of the brothers, and I think the brothers are both of them are phenomenal. It's almost like the Bonfim brothers, where I think they're both fantastic.
Oh, this is the older one.
So,
This
with-
is the older one.
so with that being said, you come in, they gave him a tough as hell fight. It went, all 3 rounds, lost the decision. got it. He's young, 24 years old, but now he's going against Nate Maness, right? He's older, 32. Um, Granted, he doesn't have as many let's put it this way. He doesn't have much more fighting experience when it comes to professional fights. Seeing as he's 14-3 and Mateus is 10-1. But with some of those fights that he has the edge on, he's been in the UFC, so he's fought guys in the UFC. He's gotten finishes in the UFC. His last finish in his last one was 2 years ago against Tony Gravely. Um, but he just came off a loss a year and 2 months ago to Umar Nurmagomedov, who nobody wants to fight currently. And then he also just lost to Ulanbekov by standing guillotine. I think this fight is going to be um, closer than people think. I could see this being more of a pick'em style fight, especially with Mateus. I think the big thing to see is if he could submit him, which he's I don't know, man. He's got right knockout, submit decision. So he's kind of all over the place, and I think the way you beat Maness or yeah, Maness is gonna have to be by a submission. And I think it's gonna be extremely difficult, especially with Umar going the distance with him with the wrestling and that pedigree that he brings. What are
Yeah,
you thinking? Are you leaning on Mateus or I mean that's a pretty moderate minus 270
that's
seems a
too
little
much.
bit.
Yeah, I'm on the. I mean, I have pretty much the same opinion as you. I really like Mateus coming out of shootbox. I really like Mateus. His only loss coming to Basharat, brother. The thing I don't like is, the price tag attached to a Nate Maness fight. You're minus 250 against Nate Maness, and Nate Maness is a dog in his own right. I mean, comes out of Kentucky. They got to, beat meth heads off their back all day out there in Kentucky, and he shows it. He came out and knocked out Tony Gravely, who that guy knows how to fight. Tony Gravely, I made a lot of money betting on him from his debut and on. He beat Luke Sanders. He beat Johnny Munoz Jr., who we were talking about earlier. He lost to, like you said, Tagir Ulanbekov and Umar Nurmagomedov. So two, decent fighters. I think this could be a get right fight for Maness, and he's a big dog here. So I'm not really sure if the UFC is seeing something in Mateus that is, glaring that he's going to run through Maness. But to me, I don't think so. I think this is going to be a close fight, and I think Mateus is live to maybe knock out Maness. We have seen Maness, at least susceptible to getting hit a few different times. He hasn't been, knocked out, but we've seen him take some punches, pretty cleanly. So I'm interested if that happens, but again, I think Maness is definitely the betting side here. It'll be one where I'll probably have a little bit of money on Maness and probably Maness by decision. But also, I'm going to be watching Mateus, and if I lose my bet this week and he looks good, he's going to be someone that I'll look to bet in the future. Or if Mateus slides by a win but doesn't look very good, then I'll be looking to fade him. It's kind of those where I'm trying to get a good gauge on Mateus, but I'm also interested in betting Maness, especially at this price. This is a really good price.
Yeah, this is at what weight is this going to be at flyweight?
Yep, 125.
What is Basharat's fighting at 125? Or is
Uh,
Mateus going down? Mateus is
Mateus
going
is
down in
going
weight.
down. He's fought at bantamweight.
So that's curious. I want to see how, yeah, he's going down. I don't see anything recently where he's dropped that far down in weight. I mean, we're talking 2019. Um, He's fighting bantamweight. So I don't know why he think maybe because he lost the fight to Basharat, but I think that's a good go down to weight.
I don't know, man. I don't think it is either. I don't. I wonder if this is typed up wrong because him fighting
I
at
don't I don't think so. And if he's 5'6".
yeah, I mean if it would
Five
look like he
six.
could make it at 5'6", you'd think he could make 125, but
Yeah, but you're going to who is Ben 130 or 125. He's 5'10". Oh, yeah, I'm liking Maness more and more. The only thing that could throw me off is if all of a sudden Mateus comes out with that bleached hair. Then I'll say,
oh
well, we'll have to go
fuck.
Maness by decision because you're not getting anybody out of there.
Yeah, dude, blonde hair and it might be, load the boat on Mateus champion end of 2024.
Yeah.
That sort of shit. The blonde hair changes people, except for Derek Brunson. He was a fake blonde hair. He did well
Yeah, he
like
doesn't
once
count.
with blonde hair, and then he decided to let Dreykus beat the brakes off of him. Oh man, dude, this
Drake,
is
yeah.
my this is my women's MMA crush, Carolina. She was my
Uh,
lady.
all right. Well, I'll let you off.
Okay, so for me here, again, this is just gonna be a fat old pass. We saw Diana Belbita. She just beat Maria Oliveira, who might be the worst fighter I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm happy she beat Maria Oliveira. She lost to Gloria De Paula. Who the fuck is that? She beat Hannah Goldie, which that's a decent win. She lost to Joja, and then she lost to Molly McCann. She lost to Meatball. Carolina, 3-fight win streak. Surprisingly, she beat Vanessa Demopoulos. She beat Silvana Gomez Juarez, and she beat Felice Herrig. Before that, she lost to Jessica Penne, and she lost to Xiaonan Yan. So, not touching this with a 10-foot pole, mostly because Carolina's 37 and she'll be 38. Will she be 38 on fight night? Oh no, her birthday is, I think, right after this weekend. So sometime early next week she will be 38. So I won't be touching this. I think Belbita does not have a very quality win in the UFC. So I'll go Carolina just for the fact that I know what I'm getting with Carolina. She's going to come forward. She's fought at the highest level. So I'll pick Carolina as a pick. But yeah, there's not an ounce of DraftKings Degen in me that wants to have any money on this fight. Tim, are you taking the shot on Belbita, or are you feeling like just watching? What are
Yeah,
you feeling here?
I'm just gonna watch. I think Belvita could get it done. But this isn't. This could be a snooze fest. And like you said, Carolina will walk forward, but she could take some shots. I don't think Belbita is gonna go out there and knock her out, but I think she could win a decision against her.
Yep.
So I'm like I said, I'm not gonna touch it, but it wouldn't surprise me if Belbita does win. The only edge that I would give Carolina is just the experience, um, and how she rebounded. She's rebounding really well because she was on a huge and she came back. So this is a new Carolina. Let's see how long it lasts, but I feel like Father Time is just not on her side, and there's no better time than now for Belbita to get a win over a quality name like Carolina.
Yeah. I could see either. I could see Belbita by submission. That would be maybe my one way I think Belbita wins is by decision. I think Carolina probably out volumes her on the feet if it stays on the feet, but then again, it's women's MMA, a 37-year-old versus a 27-year-old. How much analysis can you really do on that? At some point, whatever's going to happen is just going to happen because, both these girls are changing so much. Carolina falling. Belbita could be getting better between every fight because she's 27. Maybe she's not. We just don't know. And then there's just the women's MMA aspect where things happen a little bit differently, where close fights happen when they shouldn't, and crazy arm bars happen when they shouldn't happen. So we'll see. I could see Belbita submitting her though. That's my one. It's my one thing I could really see. If it's like a big number, I might actually throw a few dollars on that.
Yeah.
All right. This is my boy. I saw him in Kansas City here. I had a couple $100 on him when he fought. Um, it was Tanner Bozer in Kansas City, and I was freaking out when he won. So I own Kutalaba versus Felipe Lins, and Felipe Lins is 38 years old. He's on a three-fight win streak over Maxim Grisham, Ovent St. Preux, and Marcin Prakniau. But I think Kutalaba is just going to go in there and fucking steamroll him. I think it's going to be first round, and I think it's going to be like Kutalaba does, where he just manhandles this guy for 30 seconds and then punches him enough times to where he can't get up. And I think it's gonna be dirty and it's gonna be violent, and I'm gonna be here for it. But I won't be betting Kutalaba. I saw him plus money last week and I passed on it like an idiot. And now he's minus 145, minus 148. So I completely missed the bet. But Kutalaba's my boy, and I think he gets this one done. So that's my thoughts on this one.
Are you thinking this is kind of to get him back on the right path, send him off of that 3-fight losing streak skid to win over Tanner Boser? Do you think they're trying to string him back to get him kind of pushed in the rankings for
Yeah, I
the
think the UFC actually
205?
likes Kutalaba. I think the UFC recognizes he's 29 years old, and the guy is crazy talented and like supremely strong. Like this man is a freak athlete. He's just real stupid. Like if he gets in a fight that's even remotely close, then he's just real dumb, and he always does stupid stuff like completely use all of his ability in the first round and then just have nothing left come the second round. Or he'll do the complete opposite where he tries to conserve and then he just like doesn't do anything the entire fight. So it's really weird. He's done a bunch of stupid stuff where he like gets in a great position on top and then just does something really fucking dumb. Like one time he was almost in full mount and then he like went for a weird submission, ended up on his back getting his face punched in. And the Ryan Spann loss was also just really dumb. He got guillotined by Ryan Spann in the worst possible way ever. Like he stuck his neck out there. Like imagine there was a dude holding a sword above me and I just decided to like spin my neck out. Like it was as bad as that. He just was not even watching at all for a guillotine, which is what Ryan Spann does to everybody. He tries to guillotine everybody. So I'm not sure what Kutalaba was doing there. So I think that would be Felipe Lins' opportunity here would be if Kutalaba does something dumb. But I don't know how I got on that rant. But Tim, yeah, to answer your question, I do think this is probably the UFC trying to get him like a second win in a row, get him back in the win column, and get him a little bit of momentum moving forward because I think they like this guy more than they let on. He's from Moldova and he's a beast and he's not 30 years old yet. So he gets a couple good wins together. They're going to be able to give him a top 15 guy and see how he does again because he was on the fringe of those top 15s. He was fighting the Johnny Walkers. He was fighting the Ryan Spans, the Devin Clarks, the Kennedy Nchukwus. So, the guy's got the talent. He just needs to string a few together.
Yeah, so I'm I'm not sure on this one, to be honest with you. And I don't know why the line changed from Linz to Kutalaba. Um, I have one of those feelings where, like you said, Kutalaba is not the smartest guy out there, and he's coming in with the shorter reach. I can see um, I can see Lynn's clipping him. To be honest with you, um, I, I don't think he fights smart. To be honest with you, He doesn't fight smart.
No,
He
he
plays that
doesn't.
rope a dope, right? Remember the rope a dope where
Yep.
next thing you know they stopped because he thought he was a slick guy and turned around like he was smashed. I'm gonna go with Lens here. Probably by finish. I can see him submitting him as well, so that wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time, Kutalaba can come out like a madman and knock out Lens one shot. But realistically, he knocked out Tanner Boser. That's the best he's looked really since when he fought Khalil Roundtree in 2019. So that's why I'm very curious as to why the line changed. I wonder what people know that we don't know. Especially when you're going against Lynch, who's on a three-fight win streak. Granted, they're not the prettiest wins, but he is getting it done, has a better record. I think move Lynn's in the right step. I'm curious to see. I'm gonna go with Lynn's on this one. I think it could be close. Maybe I would take the under 2.5 on this.
Yeah, right now it says the under 1.5 is minus 160. So the under 2.5 is probably minus 300, sort of a deal. Let me
Yeah.
look.
I'm probably just gonna watch and hopefully we get a good finish.
Yeah.
I could see Lynn's getting it done.
All right. Ooh, this is a good fight. I'm excited, and I'm actually really intrigued to see how this one goes because these are two dudes who are both kind of, extremely middling. Like both of them are kind of shitty and kind of okay at the same time. But
Yeah.
Alexander Hernandez and Bill Algeo. Tim, do you have anything that's really calling your name to bet here?
No, I don't. The only thing that I would say is this fight goes the distance. Um, that's the only thing I can really think of. I think uh, Billy Algeo, he's what the slight favorite. I could see him playing it out. He's a dog coming off a nice submission over T.J. Brown, but T.J. Brown really isn't anything too crazy superstar wise. Before that, he did lose to Andre Fili, split decision. Then he's got a couple decision wins. Like does have a knockout over Herbert Burns, but please don't be confused with Herbert Burns and his brother. Big difference.
Yeah,
Gilbert
Herbert's
is
Herbert is so much better than Gilbert.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely not the case. Um, then he's got a decision over Brito, and then he has decision loss to Ricardo Ramos. Where do you have Alexander the Great? He came out hot. I liked him. He had a tough one against Thiago Moises. He lost the decision. A nice win over Mike Frieden, who was a finish, but then he lost one to Moicano, and then Billy Q, which we all know Billy Q is a dog, and then he got a nice one over Jim Miller. First of all, Jim Miller he's got to be what the oldest lightweight.
Dude, probably. He's at least 42.
He has to be, right? Yeah.
He's got to
So
be.
I'm not trying to take anything away from Alex Hernandez, but they gave you a guy, that's not nearly in the same age bracket as Billy. So I'm I'm gonna lean, man. I'm gonna lean on Billy Algeo. I'm really curious to see how old Jim Miller is here. Are you gonna go with? Are you gonna go with? Yeah, he's 40 years old.
40
Oh,
exactly. Interesting.
yeah. So I'm gonna have to go with Billy Algeo here, but this could be just a straight up dogfight.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Algio is probably the side here. It's real tough though because I think Alexander Hernandez has the higher ceiling, between the two fighters. Like I think skill wise, he probably at his best is better than Bill Algeo. But you just never know what you're gonna get with Hernandez. Like some fights he gasses out first round. Other fights he's got 3 rounds of cardio. Some fights he has power in his hands. Some fights he doesn't. It's weird. So I think Hernandez probably wins round one. And so I'll be watching for Algio between round one and round two if I can get him at decent plus money. If he gets manhandled a little bit and it's plus 250, plus 300, I'll be looking for Bill Algio between round one and round two. But I really really think Algio comes on the second round and the third round and starts to piece Hernandez up a little bit. Hernandez at 145 is real sucked out. He fought at 155 for most of his career, and I think his last fight was at 145, or maybe it was, I can't remember which
He
fight.
had to have fought I can't see
He
Jim
fought Billy
Miller.
Q at 145 too. It was
Oh,
Billy Q
oh,
and Jim Miller that he fought at
Jim
145.
Miller was at 145?
Well, I can't remember. Maybe it was just the Billy Q fight. I know Billy Q was at 145. Maybe he went back up for the Jim Miller fight to 155. Um, but yeah, I'm not really impressed with Hernandez's career. I thought he had upside when he came in. Like when he fought Donald Cerrone, he had a lot of upside. Donald Cerrone obviously beat the fuck out of him. But before that, I mean, he had a lot of skills. He was still a young guy. Now he's 31. He's 31 years old, and he's not showing crazy improvements fight to fight. And Bill Algio's 34, but Bill Algio also, I know I'm going to get 3 hard rounds out of Bill Algio. I know I'm going to get striking. I'm going to get defense. I know I'm going to be fresh come the third round. I know he's going to try to mix in a takedown or two if he needs to. And I know if he sees Hernandez tired, he's going to jump on him. If he gets a takedown, he's going to jump on him and he's going to let things go. Hernandez, I have no idea. I really don't know. So I'll go with Mr. or Senor Perfecto as well, which he fought in Kansas City as well when I saw him. And he started yelling in the mic afterwards, and no one could understand him. But he was yelling, and he had that good win over T.J. Brown. So Bill Algio, give me a little bit of Senor Perfecto here. Minus 135. I can't be too mad about that. But like I said, I'll be watching for that after round one bet.
Here's first of all, so Hernandez always fought at 155. He went down that one time to fight Billy Q, and he got knocked out.
Yep.
So I don't think this is a good strategy for going down in weight. So the only thing that really causes concern for me is I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know how long Billy Algio has been running his own camps. So if Billy Algio is running his own camps and Alex Hernandez is over at Factory X, I can. This is gonna be a tough one, man.
I don't like that for Bill Algio. I do not like
That's
that.
what I'm saying. So this is what I'm saying. So this is one of those cards where it's like gonna be a good fight. I really don't know who has the edge. Now this is the like with the Nate Maness fight and the Lens fight with Kudalaba. These fights are going to be so close, man. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I it's, it's so close. The records are so close. It all depends on how much um Billy Algeo put into his camp. When you're in charge and nobody's, who's pushing him? Is it himself?
Who's keeping you accountable?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Uh,
it
I
just
don't know. I don't know
throws some more
either.
mud in the water.
If it was honestly, if it was me, I would take the plus money here, whatever it closes at. See how weigh-ins look. I would just look at that. I don't think you can, some people might. might lean one way, you know.
I do think it's big that Hernandez looked really bad in his only fight at 145 because he did look really bad against Billy Q. Billy Q put it on him, absolutely put it on him at the end of that fight. So I think that's something that matters quite a bit. Is when Hernandez did come down, he really failed. Like it was not small. It was not, oh, he looked a little bit gassed. No, he looked sucked out and then he gassed hard. And the dude was ripped and muscle bound at 155. So it's crazy to me that he made 145 in the first place. And then we kind of saw what he gave up during that fight. So I feel like that's another bad, you know, thing on his side. So it evens out. Again, we got Bill Algier running his own camp, and then Alexander Hernandez over there cutting down 10 pounds that he probably shouldn't be. So weird
Yeah,
fight.
you know what I think? Yeah, but here's the thing too. I mean, if Hernandez comes in and he's really sucked out, I'll take Billy by finish. Um, he stays competing. This is his weight class. He just had a loss in grappling. But to me, that doesn't bother me. That just means, first of all, that's a grappling competition. You can't punch the guy, you can't kick the guy, but he's out there and competing, so you know he's in decent shape. Yeah, give me Billy Algio. Give me Billy Algio by finish. I think it's gonna be a good fight, but especially if Hernandez looks sucked out, I'll definitely throw a little on Billy by finish.
Fuck yeah, Tim. That's what I like to hear. That's where I'm going too. I'm going Billy Algio.
Now, now this next one.
Yeah,
Oh,
man. This is a
baby.
good fight.
Drew Dober versus Ricky Glenn. I feel like I feel like this is we need to get Drew Dober back on track. The fans love him. He's an exciting fighter. He puts it all on the line. Um, win some, you lose some, and unfortunately, he found out against Matt Steamroller Frivola. But I think Drew Dober's gonna come in here and he's gonna beat the brakes off of Ricky Glenn. To be honest with you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm there with you. I think Ricky Glenn, 3 years ago puts up a good fight here because if we go to let's go to Ricky Glenn's record here real quick. Back in the day, he was doing all right for himself. He beat Gavin Tucker. He beat Dennis Bermudez. He beat Joaquim Silva. So I mean, these are not bad wins, and that was Gavin Tucker in 2017. So yeah, he was doing all right for himself. And fun fact, I actually saw Ricky Glenn fight when I was like younger because my cousin used to do MMA, and Ricky Glenn was at one of like our I don't know local fucking because he's from Milwaukee and that's like 4 or 5 hours for me. He was at one of our local like fights, and so was Chris Lytle. He fought too. Chris Lytle fought at the
Really?
so like, but I saw both those dudes fight. Ricky Glenn though, the only way I found out because back then he was not like it was not some it wasn't Chris Lytle. Chris Lytle back then was like known, so everyone was like we're watching Chris Lytle, but Ricky Glenn was not known. But I saw his name like probably like 3 or 4 years ago in the UFC, and I thought, damn, that guy. That sounds. I feel like I've seen this dude fight before. And for a while, I thought I just saw him on like a UFC, but then I remembered, and I went back, looked at the card that my cousin fought on that we saw, which my cousin got fucking kneed in the side until he's tapped out anyway, and then he never fought again. but, um, but yeah, Ricky Glenn fought on that card, and it was pretty cool. But this fight here, I do think Drew Dober should probably knock him out. And the big difference is, even though Drew Dober is older than Ricky Glenn, it feels like is aging fast, and he's showing it in fights. We saw some bad looks from him. We did see him get on top of Grant Dawson and fucking almost kill Grant Dawson in that final round. in his fight with Grant Dawson, which was really really cool. And we'll talk about Grant Dawson later. But for me
Yeah.
here, I do think Dober probably knocks him out, finds that chin. I think it's probably second round. Drew Dober's kind of one of those guys where he downloads first round, and then second round is usually when he starts to press the pace forward and really get going. So I think it's a get back on track fight for Dober. I think he's going to get it done here. He fights out of Denver, so we know what camps he's in over there. And Ricky Glenn, Pura Vida BJJ out of Milwaukee. I wonder what sort of competition he's getting at that gym, but regardless, Drew Dober's the pick. I won't touch the price though. That's one thing I won't be touching. Minus 450.
No, no, you gotta take Dober by knockout. And I think if here's the thing, he Glenn hasn't had a win since 2021. So he fought once in 2000. Actually, no, he didn't even fight. He didn't fight in 2022. He fought Christos Giagos right in January for April. So and then he got knocked out. Left hook. Boom. Round one.
Yep.
And before that, he fought, like you said, he fought Grant Dawson. That was in October 2021. So, to me, this is kind of sending a lamb to the slaughter. I'm definitely going to smash Dober by knockout. They love this kid. He goes out, it's on a show. He does not give a fuck. And I think he's going to get rewarded for it. I think they're going to give him this Ricky Glenn fight, knock him out, and then come on. Let's see what's next. I mean, look, they got a guy that he knocked out is headlining this card.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
they want to get Drew Dober back on track, man. So this should be a slam dunk Drew Dober KO for me. I gotta see what the line is. I might have to take it Drew Dober KO, maybe under 1.5, something like that, or in the distance, or under 2.5. So it might have to be a little bit of a parlay, but we'll see if we can get some plus money on it somehow.
Yeah. I mean, let me see. I know him by knockout is minus 175 right now, which is pretty tough. But let me see what we
Yeah,
can.
so if you do it, yeah, you can put it with some other stuff and get it to plus money, even the plus 105, something like that.
Oh, they won't
Um,
even let me. They won't even. We could also
yeah, you
do Drew Dober plus one of our other favorites, and just throw a two person parlay out there and see what we end up with. That might be. He might
yeah,
be one of the legs
that
for
might
the
that might
lock.
that could be yeah, that could be one of the ones where it's a Kudalaba Lens under 2.5 and a Drew Dober knockout.
Yeah, I don't mind that at fucking all. Let me look at. Let me actually look at. Let me see here. Fight lines under 2.5 is minus 330 there, and then let's go put Dober by knockout in there. Because I doubt this goes the distance. Let's see. Yeah, we get plus 105 there. You add those two together. So
Wow, you would think I almost know what I'm doing.
it's almost like you do know what you're doing, Tim. You should have told me not to bet the Giants last night.
Giants, well, yeah, that, that's terrible, terrible idea.
To be fair,
Hey,
we did bank on Wandell Robinson, but
yeah, that was a stupid one that they put out there.
yeah, they're dumb as hell for that. All right, this is my boy. I love Alex Morono, and I hate Joaquin Buckley. But with that said, I'm
New
gonna
man,
have to pick Joaquin Buckley here. What were you saying, Tim?
um, yeah, New Mansa. He goes by New Mansa.
I
I
hate. I
don't
don't. What
think
is
he goes
that?
by
What does that mean?
New Mansa. I don't know.
I don't know what
Sounds,
Monza means.
but it's new. That's
It is
that's the
new.
important
Maybe
thing.
he's all new about this, but um, Yeah, no, I like Alex Morono a lot. He's probably one of my favorite fighters, to be completely honest. He might be top five because dude looks like he does not belong. He looks like he'd be checking out your groceries at a grocery store and going home to drink some Mountain Dew and play Halo. But dude is a fucking killer. His lonely loss in his last five was Ponzinibbio, and he was beating the shit out of Ponzinibbio until Ponzinibbio caught him in the third round. So, you know,
Yeah.
take that for what it is. Morono is an absolute dog, and I will be cheering for him tooth and nail in this fight because I love him and I hate Buckley. But I'm real worried about Buckley's athletic ability, Buckley's size here, Buckley's thickness here, and mostly Buckley's speed here. I think Morono is really really good when it comes to taking punches well and then grappling if he needs to. If he gets Buckley to the ground here, I think he probably submits Buckley because Morono is a very, very high level black belt. But I just think Buckley's going to be able to stuff any takedowns, and I think he's going to have the big power advantage on the feet. And honestly, I don't want to pick Buckley, but I'm going to just because my logic is telling me to pick Buckley. But I'm going to be on the couch with a Modelo yelling for the Great White in this fight. Well, dude, that sounds fucking weird. Why is his name? Oh, it's a shark. Okay. Alex the Great White Morono will be my boy come Saturday night, even though, I'm picking Buckley as the pick. Are you with me, Tim, or are
Uh,
you against me here?
I'm going. I'm going. Verona. Here's the thing, and it's gonna come down to that lovely MMA mat that everybody thinks doesn't work. Um, if you look, um, Buckley lost to Amavov, right? Chris Curtis. Curtis, I don't know what the fuck his deal is.
Dude's
Um,
insane
that
on
might have
Twitter.
been that might, that might have been his last win. Um, Chris Curtis's last win might have been Buckley, but then he won against Andre Fiallo, who I thought
Sucks.
Andre Fiallo was gonna knock out Tim Means. Tim Means beat the shit of out of out of Fiallo, and then you have Morono who submitted Tim Means. So I think Morono can get it done. To be honest with you, I think the hype of Joaquin Buckley, his speed, his power, and all that. I don't think it's gonna work with Morono. Just for the simple fact that I think Morono is coming out of a tougher camp. I think the gyms that he is out of, you got Fortis MMA and Gracie Barra, the Woodlands. I think those are phenomenal gyms. And to me, with him just losing to Ponzinibbio, like you said, he got caught. But before that, he's got the sub over Tim Means. He fought Semmelsberger, who throws fucking heat as well. I would be willing to say that Semmelsberger's got pretty much this pretty close amount of power that Buckley has. And then you have a guy that as grimy and gritty as Mickey Gall. He went the distance with and beat him. So I think Morono can get it done. I don't think it should be a minus 2,000 favorite or 2,000 minus 200 favorite for Joaquin Buckley. I think it could be more of a pick 'em. I could see Buckley minus 110, but I think the all around skill set is gonna be better for Alex Morono.
Man, I
And
really
it's a
hope so.
whole nother, and I think it's a whole nother experience thing. Morono's got a lot more experience. Um, only being 4 years older, he does have about, I don't know, 10 more fights in him, 10 more pro fights, something like that. So I think Morono can get it done. He had that one loss to Ponzinibbio in his last five. Other than that, he's been pretty good. Buckley dropping one to Chris Curtis. I don't know. And then a win over Andre Fiallo. Fiallo is kind of just he imploded. He looked very promising, and then once he got knocked out, um,
He was
that
over.
was it. That was a wrap.
Yep.
He just gets finished now. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Alex Morono on this one, bud.
Man, dude, I feel like you know, I'm trying to bias check myself because I like Morono so much, but now I really want to bet Morono. We'll see. We'll see
I mean,
come
you're
weigh-ins.
talking Joaquin Buckley. He was trying to fight. You know, he was saying, "Oh, is it Chimaev? He wants to Chimaev, or was it Darren Till, or whatever?" It's like, come on, man. You're not that guy, pal. Um, and yeah, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Morono uh knocks out Buckley.
Dude, I would
You
love
know,
that.
Buckley he's 6-4, right, in the UFC. So he's almost a 50% guy, Joaquin Buckley is. So and out of his four losses, he's been knocked out three times.
Yeah, bro.
So he can get chin checked. I mean, Chris Curtis knocked him out. And it sounds bad, and I don't, wanna shit on Chris Curtis because he does have that power. But Chris Curtis, he's not really. He hasn't. Brendan Allen. He stopped Brendan Allen and Phil Hawes in 2021.
Bro, you better be careful. He might come after you on Twitter. If he finds out your name,
Oh, I don't give a shit.
he'll show up at your door
I don't
and Twitter finger you. He'd probably type in his notes, "I'm
give-
gonna beat the fuck out of you, little boy," and then he'd show it to you because that's all
No.
he knows, dude. He tweets so much about how much he hates people and like just like randomly yells at people on Twitter for no reason. It's insane. Like sometimes I turn his post notifications on after he fights just so I can witness how crazy it is. Because he gets on
Ah, yeah.
like 10 minutes after the fight, just fucking like angry as hell, and then he deletes them all 20 minutes later. Like after the Jack Hermanson fight, he was on there with like 10 tweets in like 30 minutes. It was so funny. It was hilarious.
I mean, first of all, you can't take any of that stuff. People just say shit to get a reaction. He could win and people would still complain. I deal with it all the time. I had a coffee bet with a guy,
Oh, you
and
better
my guy
fuck right
won,
off right
got,
now, Tim.
got
You
a
better
stoppage, and
fuck right off.
then
A
it was
stoppage.
complete.
A stoppage, my ass.
It was a technical knockout, a TKO to
He
be
did not,
exact.
dude. I mean, if he DKO'd him, then when I broke my ankle in high school, you TKO'd me from across the world. That was the same
Yeah,
type of shit, dude. That's insane.
and maybe you owe me a coffee for that one as well.
That's so. Then
You,
Connor got
you,
knocked out in the second fight to Poirier. How about that one, Tim?
no, that was a doctor stoppage.
Dude, so was this one.
Wait, no, it wasn't.
You're
No, it
psycho.
wasn't.
You're fucking psycho. He fell down because his ACL broke. Um, but you know, let's move on because I'm gonna get another coffee. I'm gonna get a bag of coffee off of you when Gus Edwards runs for 500 yards. He's already halfway there, so you better get that bag of coffee ready,
Oh yeah, he looked good last game.
dude. He's balling. He's at like 250 yards, and we're only 5 weeks in. You're fucked. I'm gonna be getting a straight up bag of beans from you.
Yeah. Well, with the 30 carries that he had and the 40 yards, I feel pretty good.
Bro is let me do the math right here. Bro is averaging 5 yards a carry here. Let me look at this. Let me look at this. 200 divided by 44. 4.6 yards a carry. That's not bad, Tim.
Yeah, but now he's going back down to like fourth on the depth chart.
Because Keaton Mitchell, I don't want to hear that bullshit. Gus Edwards is
Justice
the
and Justin.
man.
And then they're gonna trade for JT.
That's
Oh,
not happening.
baby.
That is not happening. I'll send you a picture of the tip of my penis if that happens.
Whoa, this just got crazy.
A little bit. All right, let's move on. Joe
Okay,
Pfeiffer,
so here we go.
body
Joe
bags,
Pyfer.
baby. Who do you got here?
Yeah, versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Um, I've been wanting to fade Joe Pyfer. I don't know why. I wanted to fade him against GM3, but he beat the shit out of GM3.
Yep.
I don't think this is a place to fade him. Um, Abdul, he's hasn't had the best of of goes. Granted, he does have a win over Claudio Ribeiro. He stopped him, but he lost to Joaquin Buckley, and I just shit all over Joaquin Buckley. So I really can't go. I can't go with the fade on Joe Pyfer yet. I think Joe Pyfer will knock him out. I think it'll be another quick one. This one could be, you know what? This could be a Pyfer, Dober, both of them by knockout under 2.5. You got a 27-year-old kid that's hungry, wants it, is climbing the ranks pretty fast, especially with that win over GM3. That really kind of surprised me and made me realize, oh shit, maybe this kid is legit. Um, we're going against Razak Al Hassan, 38 years old. He's kind of coming to the end. Um, I think it's gonna be an easy one for Joe. No questions asked. He just gets him right out of there. Um, I do like the Fortis MMA gym though for Razak Al Hassan, but I think it's gonna be too much for him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the same page here. I think Al Abdul Razak Al Hassan, skated by in his UFC career. I don't really think he's very good. And Pfeiffer, young, coming in 10 years younger. Well, actually 11 years younger. So I'm all over Pfeiffer here. I think Pfeiffer by knockout is a really good bet, and I think we could add him to that. Let me put this in real quick. Here we go. All right, so we had that Kutalaba under 2.5, Dober by KO, and Pfeiffer by KO. Add those three together, you get plus 225. It's not a bad bet at all because I think Pfeiffer wins by knockout. Dober probably wins by knockout, and then that Ion Kutalaba fight definitely going under 2.5. So those three together could be absolute money because Pfeiffer, we've seen the power in his hands, and we've seen he's strong. He's good if it gets into the grappling realm, and he fights out of Philly. So you know this is a good fighter. I think it will be, like you said, a time to fade him in the future. But Abdul Razak Al Hassan fucking sucks, and I don't think he's the guy to use as a fade, even if he comes out of Fortis MMA, which isn't a bad gym. But
Yeah.
uh, I'm all on the Pfeiffer train here. He's also taller, longer reach. We know Pfeiffer is UFC caliber because he knocked out GM3. If he didn't have that knockout, I'd be thinking twice about this fight. If this was the fight right after his UFC debut and we did not see the GM3 fight, then I'd be thinking, maybe I throw a little bit of money on Al Hassan by knockout. But yeah, Pfeiffer all day here for me.
Yeah, it's not time. It's not time to fade Joe. Trust me, I'm gonna be on it when it's time.
Yep, we're about to talk about fades in the next fight, but we'll keep Pfeiffer in the back of our mind. We'll scope him out and we'll have him in the sights when time comes. If he gets like a top 15 guy, top 20 guy, that's when I think the time will come. I don't think he's really built for that top 20 of the division.
Yeah.
Oh man, is it time for the main event?
Oh, it is.
I'll let you
Um,
start this one off, Tim. You can give us your thoughts, your opinions, and everything you want to say about it, and then I'll go on my rant.
all right. So we have for the main event, Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe um when Grant Dawson beat Demir Ismagulov, he called out that he wanted to headline a card. That is fantastic. Put off some beautiful wins. You know, he's got a pretty clean record. He's got a sub over Mark Madsen. He's got a sub over Jared Gordon. Um, Ricky Glenn, he went to a majority draw, and then he's got a knockout over Leonardo Santos. I mean, he's on the right track. You know, Demir Ismagulov. I like Demir Ismagulov, but Demir Ismagulov is talking retirement. I think he might be retired, right? Doing phenomenal things. You know, one of my favorite words, phenomenal things, right? But now you're fighting Bobby Green. So now is really not the best time to be saying, "Oh, I want the title, or not the title, but I want the main event. I want the spotlight." Because you have to be careful what you wish for. They're not going to give you a Jared Gordon or Ricky Glenn or Leonardo Santos or Mark Madsen or Demir Ismagulov, for that matter, as as a main event. You're drawing Bobby Green, who just had a submission victory over Tony Ferg, right? Nobody saw that one coming. Before that, he fought Jared Gordon. I think honestly he would have beat the shit out of Jared Gordon, but they had the head clash. Before that, he got knocked out by Drew Dober. We already know how that fight is going to go with Drew Dober. Before that was just you chuck him and see whoever comes out on top. And I think that really made an impact on how Bobby Green fought his next two fights. Before that, he fought Islam Makhachev. Took it short notice, didn't give a shit. We all knew what was going to happen with that. And then before that, he's got a nice win over Nasrat. My whole thing is, even though there's a big gap um, in ages and also in records, uh, Bobby Green is the A side man. He is legit. He's tough as hell. He doesn't give a shit. He's gonna go in there. He's gonna fight smart. He's not gonna be intimidated. He knew he didn't stand a chance with Islam. He it doesn't make a difference. He still went out there and competed. He knew Drew Dober was gonna chalk him. He decided to do the same thing. And then once he got knocked out by that one, I think that he realized that he had to be more calculated. I think he would have won the Jared Gordon fight, but we know that got stopped. And then I was impressed with the Tony Ferguson fight. I thought Tony looked good in the first round, um, and it's tough because there was the eye issue. Tony did drop Bobby in that first round, but I do think that Tony is still a tougher fight than Grant Dawson. And then to submit Tony, I don't see this going well for Grant Dawson. I think he's gonna get beat, and I would like to see um, with Dawson fighting somebody of this caliber. He hasn't fought anybody at this caliber. This much pressure on him. So I'm gonna go Bobby Green, and he's a pretty good sized dog, which I like, and I'm actually very surprised.
Yeah, dude. All I gotta say is fuck yeah, Tim. I thought you were gonna be on the Grant Dawson side of things here, but fuck yeah. I said we were talking about a fraud check here, and I have been wanting to fraud check Grant Dawson since that Mark Madsen fight. I watched all of his UFC fights. So I saw, let's go back and look at all of his UFC fights. I watched him versus Julian Erosa. Fine fight. I watched him versus Michael Trezano. You know, he looked good. Derek Minner. Derek Minner, what the fuck is that? Also, he was training with Derek Minner. And also, his coach got caught fixing fights after the Derek Minner situation. So
Yeah.
what the hell's going on here? It's teammates fighting each other. His coach got caught fixing fights. You know, maybe they just said everyone. You know, we're gonna throw 500K combined on the underdog here, and then whoever the underdog is going to win. Everyone's going to get paid. Who knows? I'm not saying any. I don't want to allegate or make any allegations or any bullshit like that. But Derek Minner, first off, fucking sucks, and second off, that whole betting scandal was crazy. He beat Nad Nurmagomedov. I don't remember that fight very well. Leonardo Santos, good fight, and then we saw Ricky Glenn. Interesting. He gassed out. Third round, almost got finished. I mean, hair on his nutsack almost got finished. It was as close as close
Yeah.
gets. And then he went to a draw in grappling with Daniel Pineda. We all know who Daniel Pineda is. Interesting UFC career, but nothing special. Jared Gordon,
Yep.
he looked good. Nothing really crazy there. Mark Madsen knocked him down. Early fight, first round, knocked him down. That's not something we want to see from a guy who's minus 450. That is not something we want to see from a guy who is minus
Well, also,
450.
not for nothing. When he fought Mark Madsen, he also missed weight. He came in over.
Yep, exactly. And then Damir Ismagulov, I bet Damir Ismagulov there. And me and you talked actually about that fight before it happened, and you told me, retirement. And I said, we're fraud checking Grant Dawson here. And you said, nah, retirement. And I still went forward with the bet. And then, the retirement thing was real. Damir looked very, very not himself in that fight. But Bobby Green is a different story. Damir, that whole retirement situation, I kind of jumped on the wrong horse. It's the same thing as the Joe Pyfer, where I said, this isn't the spot to fade. That was not the spot to fade. But now we have Bobby Green, a guy who fought Islam Makhachev 4 fights ago. A guy who's been fighting the Drew Dobers of the world, the Tony Fergusons of the world. He has a win over Nasrat, who looked good in his last fight. He also has a win over Ali Quinta. He has a win over Lando Venata, Clay Guida. He was in with Rafael Fiziev in a very close fight. So for me here, I think, number one, it's Grant Dawson's chin. The fact that we've seen him get hurt multiple times in the UFC to lower level competition. Mark Madsen, that guy's a wrestler. That guy's a wrestler who has learned striking the past 5 years of his life. And he's not a young man. So
Yeah.
for him to knock down Grant Dawson is a big red flag. And then for Ricky fucking Glenn to almost finish you in the third round, I mean, we don't know. We might have gas tank issues and you might have chin issues. And add on, this is a 5-round fight. This is not a 3-round fight. This is a 5-round
Yeah.
fight. And we saw you gas out in the third round against Ricky Glenn. I'm all over Bobby Green. I bet him. I think I texted you, Tim, like a couple weeks ago, maybe even like a month ago. I don't know. And I said, I'm betting Bobby Green. He was plus 270 at that point. I bet Bobby Green plus 270. I bet Bobby Green last week at plus 300. And I bet Bobby Green today, put another 300 on him, plus 325. And I'm riding with it. I am absolutely riding with Bobby Green. We've had 3 bets this year from me. Where, Tim, you were on board with them and we cashed. Sugar Sean, we lost Tai Tuivasa. Those are my 2 biggest bets. Bobby Green has become another one of those big bets. And I'm psyched for him. I really think he can knock out Grant Dawson. And I think if Grant Dawson takes his back, first, second round, I think Bobby can survive. And that's the other thing I was really looking for. Is I went back and watched Bobby Green, and I wanted to see when he grappled. And I think he's going to be able to survive Grant Dawson's ground attack for at least a couple rounds to be able to get back to his feet. The other thing, too, is Bobby Green has 75% takedown defense. So Grant Dawson, if he goes out there and lands 5 takedowns on 5 attempts and then submits Bobby Green, I'll be the first to come out here and say I was wrong. I'll be, okay, I was real fucking wrong about this kid. This kid is legit. He's a legit wrestler. But Bobby Green, I feel like he can make this difficult. And if he just stuffs, 1 takedown in the first round and then gets taken down, and then stuffs 2 of them in the second round and then gets taken down, he can give up 2 rounds and end up winning the fight by knockout in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. I really believe in him from a decision perspective On the feet, the only thing that could happen here that I think would Bobby Green would lose the fight is if he gets controlled for the entire fight. Um, or if he gets taken down like 3 rounds in a row and then gets choked. So it's a really binary fight. As in, on the feet, I think Bobby wins by knockout. On the ground, Dawson probably either skates to a decision or ends up, getting a sub late in the fight. But I just don't think it's going to be easy for Grant Dawson to do that. And I think Bobby's probably going to be able to find his chin. Honestly, it could be very early, or Bobby's going to be able to extend it and find his chin once Grant Dawson's takedowns don't come as easily. Because we know takedowns, the reason that Chimaev is so dominant is because he always gets those early takedowns and he's so good at finishing once he gets on the top. Once you get into the second, third, fourth, those takedowns, they just gradually get harder and they wear on your gas tank more. And I'm all on the bandwagon of Grant Dawson does not have that gas tank. And so stuff a couple of them. And I think Grant Dawson is going to be a fish out of water. And Bobby Green is going to be that slick boxer that we know. So I'm all over it. It's my third, we'll call it a max bet of some sort. It's my third big bet of 2023. And plus 300, I couldn't be happier on the price. I was expecting, when I looked at this fight, to see Bobby Green like plus 150, plus 180, that sort of a price. That's my rant.
I think it's the pedigree that Bobby Green has gone up against is much steeper than Grant Dawson. I really don't know. It must be just the record where they're getting Grant Dawson minus so much money, the odds minus so much of what they are, because he's not a minus 390. He's not he's not him. Um, he does have he's got the sub over Gordon and Madsen, right? Ismagulov, um, he went the decision with, right? But Derek Minner, he got a sub. I don't know, dude. I think Bobby Green is gonna be too fast. I think Bobby Green is gonna be so fast. Even 7, he's gonna be much faster.
Yep, I agree. Completely. Completely, completely. Are you feeling this as dog of the week?
I think so.
All right,
I think
I'm
it's just
fucking
the
down.
experience, and it's the experience. The people that he's fought. I I mean, realistically, where do you think they're coming up with a 390 favorite for Grant Dawson?
I think it's because they greatly overvalued Ismagulov in that last fight. And I did as well. I fell victim to it because Ismagulov was one of those guys we thought could be a title contender. But then there was that weird thing where he retired, said he had a bunch of health issues. He was like flinching during fights, like involuntarily, if you remember right. He kept like his face wasn't working. He kept like doing the weird thing. And
Yeah.
the ref almost like stopped the fight at one time because he like was staring at him because he was doing it so much. So I just wonder, what was going on there, if it was some CTE of some degree or just what was happening there health wise. But I think everyone kind of expected Ismagulov to be the same fighter that he was before all that stuff happened. And then he came out and he just really had no answer for the back take. And so it was obvious he wasn't the same fighter that, went toe to toe with Guram, went toe to toe with, if I remember right, Armin Sarukian. Let me go look just to make sure I don't want to be talking out of whack here. It was either, yeah, he beat Thiago Moises. He went toe to toe with Armin Sarukian and lost that fight, but still looked good. So, we had an absolute, crazy good fighter on our hands. But then the mental aspect just went. But I think the
Yeah.
betting community now in Vegas is taking Demir for what he used to be versus what Dawson actually fought. And so that's why I think the line is so heavy right now. And also, people really, really like to bet on grapplers too. Everyone likes to bet on a grappler because they know what they're going to get. They know what you're going to get out of Grant Dawson. He's going to go and shoot, 5 takedowns in the first round if he needs to. He'll go and shoot 10 takedowns in the first round if he needs to get a takedown. And so everyone really likes that. So pair those two things together, and I think Vegas is very happy to make this dude a huge favorite, but I just think Bobby Green's going to spoil that for him.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I'm excited though to see Bobby Green. I'm not a huge Bobby Green guy. Um,
Same. I kind of hate him, to be honest.
I mean, hate's a strong word, but um, I'm not a huge, like I said, I'm not a huge Bobby Green guy. So that's why it's to see the odds at what they are against him. Think that he should win it pretty handily is a little crazy. Um, like I said, I think he can get it done.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same side here. And then, I mean,
What
couple
do you think?
weeks, we got Charles Oliveira,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. What's on next week's card is kind of eh, that's going to be kind of a funky one. Really not too pumped, but after not having any fights last weekend, I'm excited. I shouldn't say not any fights last weekend. One was on. I got to watch Stamp Fairtex win, but and then we had the Canelo Charlo fight, which was absolute dog shit.
Yeah, dude, fuck Charlo. That was not even
That's a
much of an
show
effort.
up. That's a show up, get paid, and go home. Um, that was kind of disgraceful, you know.
I agree.
Watching it as a fan. I mean, he still got in there with Canelo, which is more than we'll ever do. Um, but to have that much hype and to talk so much how you're gonna put it on somebody and then go in there and not even, it's one thing when you take the loss, right? And you're getting beat. But it's another thing to go in there and to not even seeing fans make it look like you're even trying. Like you don't even want to be there. If you don't want to be there, then you shouldn't have taken the fight. That's my opinion on it. But
Yeah. It
that
looked like
goes
he
with
just
everything.
looked like he just didn't want to take any damage, and so he just didn't try anything. And Canelo was just ripping the
Yeah.
body and walking him down. Just looked
Yeah.
bad.
Listen, if you don't want to fight, don't fight. I don't want to watch somebody fight that doesn't want to fight. So that's the tough part. But it is what it is. It was a decent year for boxing, and I think what we're closing out the year with Fury and Usyk which is gonna be awesome. I'm pumped for that
That's
fight.
a great fight. That'll be so much better than Fury and Ganu.
Yeah, I don't. That is crazy that they're scheduling that fight in literally 2 months after
Yeah, bro. Fury
he
doesn't give a
fight.
fuck. He said, "I'll go out there and knock out."
Yeah,
He's gonna actually knock out Ngannou. Actually beat the actual brakes off of Ngannou. I'm talking like life changing
yeah,
beating, in my opinion.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna go well for Ngannou. I mean, I think we just need to understand that Ngannou, who hasn't even been training MMA that long, is gonna go up there and fight the number one heavyweight in boxing in the world.
Yeah, man.
Seems a little fucking
Because
seems a little fucking stupid.
we've seen that
Uh,
fight before. We saw Fury take on a new to boxing power puncher with ungodly power. We saw him fight Deontay Wilder twice. Maybe three
yeah,
times. I can't fucking remember how many times it was because I hated it every time. The first time Wilder caught him. Caught him in that one of those final rounds, but Fury got up and then won the fight. The next fight, Fury actually almost killed him. Actually, almost caught a body. So I feel like it's just going to be the same thing. We're going to see Fury just pace and keep his range. He's so tall, and Ngannou's just going to get his face jabbed off and be bloodied up. And eventually, it's going to be either the corner throws a towel in or Ngannou just shells up against the ropes and ref calls it. I feel like it's just bound to happen. Like it's just levels. It'd be like a professional NFL player being like, I'm gonna come over and fight a UFC fight. It's just two different sports, and MMA fighters are not gonna win boxing matches. It's just not gonna happen. So it's weird. It's very weird to
Yep.
me. But
Yep. And then also on Saturday, I'll record it. Bellator 300.
who's fighting?
Usman Nurmagomedov is fighting Brent Primus, and
Ooh,
Chris Cyborg's fighting Kat Zingano. So Chris should beat the shit out of Kat Zingano. And then you have a couple other fights on there. Liz Carmouche is fighting
is Pico fighting?
Alima Lay McFarlane. Aaron Pico?
Yeah,
I do not think so. I do not think so. Liam McCourt is fighting Sarah McCann. Um, Not this one. I do not know. Aaron Pico is not
interesting.
fighting on this card. He might be on the 301 card. This is the big Bellator 300.
I think he might be on
So
301.
they
Yeah.
made some announcements. I don't know what's going on with the whole Bellator thing. They're saying that the PFL is gonna buy it, but
Yeah, they
I
said
don't know,
PFL is
man.
going to buy it, and then they said, oh, PFL is just going to let Bellator do its thing after buying it. I'm like, why? What the fuck is the point then? Like, they're both just sinking companies. It's weird. It's weird that they would buy
Yeah,
Bellator. I feel like it would be the other way around, but I guess PFL's got more
yeah, but I'll
traction than
tell
I
you what,
thought.
though. Nobody wants to see that bullshit anyway. Um, Bellator 301 is going to be good. Yaroslav Amosov versus Jason Jackson. Sergio Pettis versus Patchy Mix, Tatiana Suarez's boyfriend. Patricky Pitbull versus Alexander Shabley. Rafion Stotts versus Danny Sabatillo.
Ooh,
AJ
that's a
McKee versus
good fight.
Sydney. Yeah, that's a rematch. And then you got AJ McKee versus Tyrell Fortin. Oh man, there's some good fights. They have some good fighters. They have a decent roster. They're just not doing the shows where keep them relevant. You know what I mean? Patchy Mix is phenomenal.
Dude, it's just also
So
painful to watch Bellator. It's so shitty
they're
from
stupid.
a
This
perspective
is
of like
this is how.
filming and stuff.
Yeah,
Production.
they just they have fighters that are ranked, right? Fighting unranked people in the prelims, and then you get which are on YouTube. And then you get to the main card, and it's fucking people that are like making for debut that nobody wants shit.
Yeah.
Terrible fight. You're staying up, and over here on the East Coast, I'm not trying to watch that. I want to see these good cards.
We also don't
Even if
need
it's
like 20 prelims.
no, this is another one. This card probably got the Bellator 300's got 16 fights on it, which I understand. It's a I guess you could say their pay per view. But you got better on the prelims, right? Featured prelims that they're 0-2, 2-0. Like those are the records.
Yeah.
Like on this main card, you have right underneath the Liz Carmouche fight, which is a title fight. Lorraine Santos, who's 6-1, fighting Jackie Cataline, who's 3-3. Like, what are we doing? Earlier,
Yeah.
Bryce Meredith, 4-0. Miguel Kimblet, 2-2. Those are his records. And you got, I mean, this is the only thing I don't like. I don't want to. kind of go on a rant about it, but they're just not. They're not doing it the way um, where you're gonna get the fans to be all in. I don't even know when they have these cards, to be honest with you. If I didn't have to look them up constantly to see if there's fights on, there's no. They don't advertise. It doesn't. They need a good deal.
I agree. Yeah, that
All
301
right,
card
man.
looks good though. That 301 I'm interested in. I might actually watch that.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah. All right, man. I mean, couple weeks we're gonna be talking Islam, Charlie Olives. So I'm psyched for that. Next week I won't be around, so we won't have an episode next week because I'm gonna be in Colorado for my 1 year anniversary for the full week.
Fantastic. And if we're gonna miss a card, I think that's one we can miss.
Yeah, bro. Guess what? Guess what my fucking wife did to me today. This actually blew my mind. She said, "Isn't next weekend when we're gonna be in Colorado that big fight you've been talking about?" Because I just kind of ramble sometimes about Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira because it's such an insane fight to me. Sometimes I'll just like mansplain it to her when she doesn't care, and
Yep.
I have never sprinted to UFC.com so fast. I got my phone out and I think I hit Safari and UFC.com in like 3/4 of a second because if it was next weekend, because we're gonna be like deep mountains where there's no Wi-Fi, where there's no cellular, so I was gonna have to plan a night to go down to the bar somewhere, like drive 45 minutes to get to a bar because I'm not missing that shit live. And then I was like, no, you just gave me a damn near heart attack, honey, because I thought you were right for a second, and that I was gonna miss Charlie Olive and Islam Makhachev, but no, it's 2 weeks from now, so we're all good.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good card. There's gonna be some bangers on that one, and I'm pumped for that. Yeah, thank goodness, because that'd be
Right?
terrible if she had to go to Colorado by herself.
Exactly, man. If she had to go all by herself and on our anniversary, that'd be tough.
Yeah, but you know what? This is what we do for Charles Oliveira. We show support.
Yeah, man. Bros over hoes, am I right?
There you go. There you go. As long as they're not listening.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone who listens to this, and Tim, thanks for hopping on and talking some fights.
Thank you, sir.